Welcome back to the channel. Weber's Weld Shop here. It's been a little while. I apologize for that. Been really busy with family and got caught up with a few other things around the house, around a rental house. Broke the spigot off the side of the house. A lot of stuff. And then, we had a lot of racing going on in the family. So father-in-law and brother-in-law both race sport compacts. So we went and watched the final races of those, the Fall Challenge in Oski. So that kind of consumed a little bit of my time. I have some footage of that. I'll kind of plug in here so you kind of see what I'm talking about. then also my boy Cooper, he races go-karts. So, and you've probably seen it a little bit in the background here lately. So he had his last and final race, and he was racing for points, and we were sitting third in points, and it was a double feature that night. So I focused a lot on the kart the last week. That way we were ready and we were prepared to have a good race, and we ended up getting 2 second places, and that put him second overall in points. So super proud of Cooper. I'll put in some of those race clips in now so you can kind of see that.
my pledge. Never yield, never fade. In this beat I prayed, I've laid foundations made. Feel that push, feel that fire. Let your heart sink with the wire. No retreat, no rewind. In this rhythm we refine. Incessant rhythm, the beat in my veins. I'm outside, I'm calling your name. Chasing the edge, rising through pain. Incessant rhythm, I bring us a state. Incessant rhythm.
That. So, you know, I apologize there wasn't a lot of footage of the shop this week, but we do have a lot of stuff going on in the shop this week. So not only am I trying to work on the Lodestar, but I'm trying to keep up with some of the projects that kind of keep me funded in the shop. So I got this fertilizer spreader here that I need to reattach the actual spreader. It kind of broke off there. So I kind of started that project and wanted to go and use my plasma table, cut a few pieces out of there, kind of half moons, go on each side, weld it up, get it all buttoned up. But my air compressor decided to die on me. So I have this small little Craftsman compressor here that I've been using, and it's way too small and underrated for my plasma table. I knew that. I don't use a lot of air tools in my shop, but it's kind of got me by for a little while. Well, finally, over the last week, it blew up. There was flames shooting out the side of the motor, and it finally gave up. I was fortunate enough that my brother gave me a bigger air compressor, free, but you know, in life, nothing's ever free. Well, the bottom of it was rusted out. Not only was it rusted out, but somebody tried to patch it a few times. So not only does it have a patch, it had JB Weld, and somebody ran a couple self-tappers in there. So I ended up just cutting that out. As you can see right here, I went and just cut the whole bottom out. The plan is I'm gonna go and just make a new piece. So I had this bung cut out of another project that I did, same size as that one over there, for the drain fitting. So I'm gonna weld that back in. But one of the problems I ran into in this project is I wanted to use my plasma cutter to go and cut the bottom out. Well, it's kind of hard to use a plasma cutter when you don't have air. So 2 bad air compressors. So we're gonna go and get my shop back on track. So we're gonna work on this air compressor. We're gonna get this thing all fixed back up. So we're gonna weld the back onto it. We're gonna fill it up with oil, get it back running. And that way we can use our plasma table. We can start on this project. And then we can finally get back on the International. I know it's all the content everybody wants to see. I do have a small update on the International that I'm pretty excited to show you guys. So one thing that was kind of holding me up on the International project is the front and how I'm gonna go and mount the front. And wanted to get the max space in the front here to fit that DT 466. So I was really trying to figure out the radiator placement and how I wanted to place the radiator. Well, watching a few other YouTubers, there's Spraggan Built Customs, and he's built several Lodestars over the years. And watching his channel, he had this split radiator that had one side was intercooler and one side was radiator. It came out of an International school bus that I thought was gonna fit just perfect. So I hit up Marketplace and found one for $100. In great shape, just another town over from where I'm at. And the guy was grateful enough to deliver it to me. So got this awesome whole front clip here, still all assembled, with half radiator, half intercooler. That's gonna fit perfect right in between the original radiator brackets. But what we're gonna have to do is make the bottom lower. So that radiator is a little bit longer than the stock one. So that's why I was kind of holding up and kind of hesitant on mounting the cab, because that middle, the front, as you can see underneath here, I'll show you, mounts right here. And if that radiator is going to come down, I'm going to have to cut this whole bottom support out, get that lower. Well, I didn't want to go and fab up all that just to cut it all back out. So I kind of been dragging my feet on that. So, but now we have this. What we're going to do is go and pull the stock radiator out that's in here. We're going to go and pull that out and then go and fit in that new radiator, get that all fabbed up nice, and then figure out our front cab mounts. So stay tuned for that. You are going to watch a little bit of me doing a little bit of fabrication in here on this, and then get onto the spreader, and then we'll get on to working on the International hopefully by Sunday. So stay with me through that. I hope you guys enjoy the content. One thing I do need to go do is go get shop vac and shop vac all this rust from out of here. Quite a bit in there. Actually, honestly, a little surprised at how much rust is in this air compressor for how decently shaped it is outside. Somebody must not have drained it very well. It kind of explains the rusty bottom. So I'm gonna go run and get shop vac and take care of that. So what you saw in the video, drilled the hole, used 3 different size drill bits to get a nice hole. And then I also went ahead and ground off what was left of the old pipe going around there. So it's all fresh on there with the lip that fits perfectly in that hole. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our welder. So you see there's 3 different welders here. This one here is the Miller 212. That one's set up for aluminum right now with a spool gun. That one there was my pride and joy. It was a 250X and it finally burned up on me a few months ago. So I went and bought this Everlast machine. So it's fairly new to the shop. So it's the Everlast 312i. Pretty solid machine so far. I've only used it on a few things. What really interests me with this is that it's a digital based machine and inverter with a lot of options up front, and you can also run aluminum through the gun. All you have to do is get a Teflon lighter. I do quite a bit of aluminum jobs here, so having the option to run aluminum through this guy, because I'm just borrowing that 212 from a buddy. So here lately I've been doing a lot of TIG with my Miller TIG machine over there, and on a few big jobs that I had to do an awning for a whole hotel, and I kind of lost my butt on that job because I had to TIG weld all of it and didn't pay all that great. So really driving me to that spool gun when I was using my buddy's spool gun. That was an awesome feature. So couldn't really afford replacing the 250X with like a Miller 252 with a spool gun. You're looking at almost $6 grand for that, where this Everlast machine shipped to the door was a little over $2 grand. with exactly what you see there with the cart, minus the bottle obviously, but damn near half the price with almost the same machine. I don't run 100% full production here in this shop, so spending the $6,000 wasn't really feasible for me at this point. So this machine's gonna be the ticket for me. So we'll see how it does through this whole project. So let me know what you think. So a pretty nice feature. I go in here and you can just scroll down, select your wire size, 035, and then your material size, 3/16. We're gonna bump that up to 3/8, and then standard torch, and then the inductance I like to keep around 70%. It seems to run the best there. So this is a starting point, and then we can fine tune it after that. 24.5 volts, 550 inches per minute for our wire speed. So we'll start there, see how it does. Bumped it down to 23.5. It was pretty hot. Two passes, not bad. Hopefully the threads are all right. But let's get a little wire wheel action. Not bad. I can live with that. All right, so now we're gonna go and set up over here. Now that we got that bung tacked in there, we're gonna go and get her fitted up onto here, and then we'll weld it on there. Yep. Whoa. Sorry guys. I'm back here. Torch hit you. Let me get you set back up. All right. Too bad. I'm going to tack it on the bottom, and then we'll give it a couple smacks on the side. Wants to favor that side over there a little bit. Okay. Fit up not too bad there. So I did cut that with a cutting wheel, so our edges aren't all that great, but overall can't complain with that. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to weld from tack to tack, spin it, so I'm always welding in the most flat position as I can. A little hot, going way too fast. Go bump that down. Well, there it is. Welded the bottom all on there. A few passes all the way around. I think that'll do it. It doesn't have to hold but 200 pounds is probably all I put to it. Plasma tape only runs 60 pounds of pressure. I don't really run a whole lot of air tools in the shop, so I feel pretty good with that. So another thing I did have to do is put a new plug on. I put just a 220 plug like all my welders. It had a small 230 amp plug that maybe like for a washing machine or something. I don't know, but I don't have those plugs on here. So went and did that. So we'll go and stand this up. I'll probably put the plug and stuff in the back, stand it up, and we'll test it out here in a second. All right, it's another day here in Weber's Weld Shop. So the last we left off, I was working on the air compressor. I welded that up. Well, I didn't have the camera on, but I got the air compressor all set up over here. So it took a little while to get all my plumbing all situated. I just kind of used what I had from the old air compressor. And then this air gauge here, the original one, once I fired up the air compressor and was testing it out, kind of building up pressure, it only got to 40 psi, but it ran for probably a good 15-20 minutes, which started to kind of worry me a little bit. But I went and put an air gauge on that fitting, and it was up to 140 when it cut off. So that kind of made me feel a little bit more comfortable. So I went ahead and just switched out that air gauge from one I had. Yeah, it cuts off at 140 and then turns on around 80. So that's perfect. That's exactly what I need. So we're gonna go and continue on to the spreader project. So what we're gonna do for that is I wanna make some flanges on the computer that kind of goes over the rusted part, sandwich it together, weld it top to bottom. So what we're gonna do is I used Fusion 360, drew it up, put it on our flash drive, and we're gonna go over to the plasma table and we're gonna go and cut a few pieces out. So you guys can kind of just hang out and help me set it up. So here's the table. And yeah, we'll fire it up. This table is the Eastwood 2x2 table, 2 foot by 2 foot, with the VersaCut 40 Eastwood plasma cutter underneath. Pretty good little setup. What I was having issues with was trying to get this torch, since it's just a hand torch on there. I do eventually want to upgrade to the actual machine torch. That's hopefully a little easier to set. My cuts were coming out at a little bit of an angle and it was really starting to irritate me. So I spent the last hour or so just kind of adjusting it, so I feel good about where we adjusted it. What I do want to do is pull this plate out and put in a thicker piece. This was just 1/8 inch. So let's go and do that now. Sixteenths. Seems good. Oh, so I think we're just gonna make them out of 1/8 inch. I think that'll work just fine. There. All right. Now what we're gonna do is insert the USB in this little guy here, and we'll hit files, USB, and then our spreader flange here. Boom. Let's bring our torch back to where we want to cut. Down a little bit, and we'll hit F7. This kind of makes us map out our test piece, make sure we're in the right window. Go down a little bit. That'll work. So now let her cut. So I made a decent cut, but what I've been having trouble with is when it starts, it's not piercing right away. So been kind of fighting that a little bit. So we'll kind of work with the pierce time and try this again.
pierce time is T. Like that, we have at 1.2. Let's just do 1.5. See if that makes a difference. Yeah, it's just a little tab there. It's kind of irritating, but the rest of it looks pretty good. Let's try to change that pierce time again. Working on that pierce time didn't change anything. It's almost like it's a setting in the program. I need to probably change my lead ins and lead outs, but I'll have to go back into the computer do that. I don't really feel like doing that right now, so we're just going to deal with it. We just need one more. So that time, it worked like it should. So that makes me feel a little better. And that's making some pretty good cuts. And just a tiny bit of slag on the bottom, we'll clean that up. So since it worked on that one, let's just try to make one more. So we got all our plates done. Go ahead and shut it down. always like to cover up the computer screen, so I made a really nice cover. No sponsorship, but I'll take it if they offered it. All right, so let's grab these pieces. I'll clean them up quick, and then we'll start working on the spreader. We'll tack them on there, get it all straight, and we'll go from there. Pieces all fixed up here. So don't look at me, let's look at the parts. So the plan is there's a shaft, a rusted screw on there that holds the spreader wheel. What I want to do is just put these around there like that, and then I can weld around the inner diameter and the outside of the diameter, and gives it a nice something solid too. One on the bottom, one on the top. Good to go. Should be back in business. Let's drag that thing over here. Like I thought. One thing about this Everlast machine, it really likes a good ground. Alright, I like where that's sitting. I'm gonna go ahead and burn that on a little bit. Okay. Not perfect, but not bad. Not the prettiest thing, but it's back together. It'll hold. So there's what we did. We just took our two pieces, stuck it around there, welded it to the shaft, then another time around there. So what we'll do is now we'll flip it over and do the same thing on the other side, and then it won't go nowhere. Not as pretty as I was expecting it to be. Nope. Let's just go with plan B. No, I don't like that either. All right, that's about it for tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna go inside and spend some time with the family and the kids before they have to go to school, and I have to go to work tomorrow. So I just get a few hours out here every night, but I make do with what I got for now. The kids won't want to be around here forever. So maybe this weekend I can get both the kids out here and help me with mounting up this cab. So stay tuned. See you tomorrow.